which overlooked the mews. Again, he made no reply. With the agility of an acrobat, he swung himself down from the windowsill and dropped onto the roof of the floor below. It was easy to scramble from there into the cobbled yard. Even as he did so, he heard someone rattling the door, which would not open. He walked swiftly down the mews. When he got to the far end of it, he threw the key that was in his pocket into some bushes. He then had only a few yards to go to reach his own house in Berkeley Square. When he did so, he told himself he had had a lucky escape. He had known that Lady Julie's husband, Timothy Barlow, was hard up, but he had not thought he would stoop to such an age-old trick as coming back unexpectedly to find his wife in another man's arms. There were only two options open to the victim: to fight a duel, which might result in his having to live abroad for several years, or to pay up. The Duke knew that there was no question about what Timothy Barlow would demand. He would have to pay up rather than be involved in a scandal. It would be unthinkable, so soon after he had inherited his title and the vast estates that for centuries had belonged to the Dukes of Dreghorn. "I have had a lucky escape," he said again. He knew it was thanks to his intuition, which had saved him dozens of times before. The night footman sprang to his feet when he heard the knock. Having let his master into the house, he shut the door and bolted it. "Tell Jenkins in the morning," the Duke said, "that I will leave immediately after breakfast for the country." "Very good, Your Grace," the night footman murmured. The Duke walked slowly up the stairs. Only when he reached his bedroom did he ask himself why the sort of thing that had just happened so often happened to him. He had found Lady Julie fascinating. She was also, in his opinion, one of the most beautiful women he had ever seen. The daughter of a marquis, she had eloped with Timothy Barlow a few days before her 17th birthday. It had been a mistake, though they had in fact stayed together. Timothy was a gambler, and there were times when they both wondered where the next penny was coming from. The Duke could understand that he was the obvious person to solve their problems. What annoyed him was that he had thought Julie was genuinely infatuated with him. When he was an unimportant and obviously impecunious soldier, a great number of women had laid their hearts at his feet. It seemed ironic that now he was a duke, Julie had been more interested in his money than in him. It was not really that he minded so much parting with thousands of pounds. It was the humiliation of being caught in a compromising situation against which he had no defence. At any rate, he thought, it had taught him a lesson, not to be so conceited in the future. Also, for the moment, to waste no more of his valuable time in London. There was, he knew, a great deal for him to do in the country. The late Duke had been a very old man when he died, and had neglected the estate by not modernising it in any way. It was not only that the equipment on the farms was out of date. Most of the horses in the stables were on their last legs. Quite a number of the servants at the castle should have been pensioned off years earlier. The war had, of course, contributed to that, because the young men were away fighting Napoleon, and many of them had not returned. The Duke knew that he had to bring the Dreghorn estate up to date. He had also to restore and preserve the treasures in the castle, which had been handed down from generation to generation. "The sooner I get to work, the better," the Duke told himself as he got into bed. Without another thought for the woman he had just left in an ignominious position behind a locked door, he fell asleep. In the morning, the Duke rang for his valet before the man called him. "I hears as we're going to the country, Your Grace," Bates said when he answered the bell. "I want to leave before 9 o'clock, the Duke said. "I thought that's what Your Grace would want," Bates answered, "and Mr. Ashton sent a groom ahead an hour ago to warn him." The Duke did not reply. He was used to the excellent way in which his secretary ran the house. He knew that Mr. Bennet, his counterpart at the castle, would therefore have everything ready when he arrived.